The US government just forced one of the most powerful AI companies on Earth to shut down its best models worldwide, and then, 2 weeks later, the president said he's totally fine with them. Welcome to the strange, escalating battle over who controls artificial intelligence, and what it means for every single one of us. Let's go back to mid-June 2026. On June 19, a US government export control directive landed at Anthropic's door, and the company did something almost unheard of in the AI industry. They complied immediately. They disabled access to their Fable 5 and Mythos 5 models, their most advanced systems, for all users worldwide. Foreign nationals were cut off entirely. This wasn't a gradual phase-out or a quiet policy update. This was a lights-out order. And here's what makes it surreal. Just a few weeks earlier, on June 20, Trump told Axios he no longer views Anthropic as a national security threat. But he also said he wouldn't rule out using emergency powers against the company. So which is it? Are they a threat or aren't they? The truth is more complicated and more revealing than either position suggests. The White House's formal framework on promoting advanced AI innovation and security acknowledges something that most policymakers have been dancing around. Advanced AI capabilities make the nation stronger. But they also introduce genuine national security considerations that require coordinated action across every relevant agency. That's the official language. What it actually means in practice is a government scrambling to govern something that moves faster than any regulatory system was built to handle. Let's be precise about what happened. Export controls on AI aren't new. The US has long restricted certain advanced computing technologies from reaching foreign nationals, particularly in adversarial nations. But here's the problem: AI models don't sit in a shipping container. They live in data centers. They can be accessed from anywhere with an internet connection. So when you issue an export control directive against a frontier AI company, you're essentially asking that company to build a wall around something that is, by its fundamental nature, borderless. Anthropic complied, technically. They cut off access. But this raises a critical question that nobody in the government seems eager to answer. If a model is powerful enough to warrant export controls, is disabling it for foreign users actually stopping anyone who wants to use it for malicious purposes? A determined actor with sufficient resources can find workarounds. What these controls really do is create friction for legitimate international research collaboration and, arguably, hand a propaganda win to nations that want to argue American AI leadership is about control, not innovation. The French startup Zencolab, for example, is using AI to detect eye diseases from retinal images, groundbreaking work happening outside the American ecosystem entirely. Are those researchers now less likely to collaborate with US institutions because they might get cut off? That's the hidden cost nobody is counting. While the Anthropic drama was unfolding, OpenAI quietly dropped something that, in my view, is actually more significant long-term. On June 25, OpenAI unveiled its first custom AI chip. This is a massive deal that the news cycle mostly glossed over. Right now, the entire AI industry, and I mean OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, everyone, is dependent on NVIDIA's GPUs. That's not a criticism of NVIDIA, they're extraordinary chips. But it creates a single point of failure for the entire American AI strategy. If NVIDIA has supply chain issues, AI development slows down. If export controls restrict chip availability overseas, international AI competitiveness shifts. When companies start building their own silicon, they're insuring against exactly this vulnerability. OpenAI designing its own chip means they're thinking in decades, not quarters. This is what actual AI sovereignty looks like in practice, not regulatory frameworks and executive orders, but the physical substrate of computation being brought in-house. The White House framework talks about promoting advanced AI innovation, but the real innovation race is happening in semiconductor design labs, not in Washington. So what do we take away from this chaotic few weeks? Here's my honest analysis. The White House framework is an admission that AI governance is genuinely hard, and that the government knows it. They've stopped pretending there's an easy answer. The simultaneous moves against Anthropic and the pivot to saying they're not a threat reveals a policy apparatus that is reactive, not proactive. It's being driven by events, not by a coherent vision. But here's what I think is actually happening underneath the noise. The US government is trying to do something unprecedented: maintain leadership in the most transformative technology in human history while preventing that technology from being used in ways that could destabilize global security. That's like trying to be both the engineer and the safety inspector on the same rocket ship. It's not impossible, but it's extraordinarily difficult, and the tensions we're seeing, export controls one day, reassurances the next, are the natural result of that internal contradiction. The companies are moving faster than any regulatory framework can accommodate. And the countries that figure out how to balance innovation with genuine security, not performative security, but real, thoughtful security, are going to have a massive advantage in the decade ahead. The US still has that window. But it's closing. The story of AI in 2026 isn't just about models getting smarter. It's about who gets to use them, who builds them, and who decides. The White House framework names the real problem, that advanced AI creates both strength and risk, but the execution is messy, contradictory, and frankly, behind the curve. Meanwhile, companies like OpenAI are making moves that matter far more than any executive order, building the physical infrastructure of an AI-powered future. The question isn't whether AI will transform everything. It will. The question is whether our institutions can adapt fast enough to guide that transformation rather than just reacting to it. Based on the last few weeks? I'd say we're in the reacting phase. Whether we get to guiding before the technology outpaces our choices, that's the story of the next 2 or 3 years. And I genuinely don't know how that one ends.